Hello everyone and thanks for stopping by my channel. I am Serg T. In this video I will be talking about Friday Night Smackdown for June 21st, 2024. And what was Smackdown gonna do? What was creative? Triple H. Oh, that's right, Triple H died. I forgot he got killed, according to news reports out there, quote unquote, because of what happened by the Wyatt 6, the hands of Wyatt 6. He took out a lot of people, Gable and the Gunther and all these guys. But let's get real here, folks. Nobody died. A great way to present it, that they took out a lot of people on Friday Night Smackdown. On Monday Night Raw. But how is Friday Night Smackdown going to combat that? What is creative going to do for a shakeup on Friday nights? Well, we saw a interesting and quite a builder to a storyline, an ongoing storyline with the Bloodline, and I'll talk about that and what in fact was the monumental moment that happened at the end of the show. But anyway, like I said, this is Friday Night Smackdown. And they showed a recap of Drew McIntyre being screwed out of the World Heavyweight Championship by CM Punk. Now, Smackdown emanates from CM Punk's hometown. Of course, that is Chicago, Illinois. And the chants are heard, and his music kicks on, and the crowd erupts. And Punk runs into frame and he greets the crowd. And all I kept saying, Punk, don't jump into the crowd. You know, that's how you hurt your leg. And that was one of the injuries that you suffered at, in AEW. So every time I see him do something, I'm like, please don't get injured again. You're at an age now where you get injured quite easily. So take it easy. At least until you wrestle. Now, Punk asked the crowd if they remembered this date. He says, July 17, 2011, and we hear cheers. Don't know if the crowd is just being the sheep that they are, just cheering just because. But he said that the date was when he promised himself and the WWE Universe that he would walk out of his hometown as WWE champion. Now that's pressure. He put pressure on himself when he promised that he was going to do that. He could have failed. He could have embarrassed himself, but he didn't. See, pressure is the key word here as he talks in this promo. Now he stated that this was his revenge regarding, because we know the history between him and Drew McIntyre. Revenge was on the plate here, folks, and then we saw that McIntyre, what he did to Punk, kicked him when he was down, and the crowd boos when he mentions McIntyre's name, but will I hear them cheer when Drew comes out? Cheering because that's cool to do, or will they boo him because he is a heel and they are Punk's hometown crowd? And remember, folks, Punk promised a number of weeks ago that he would make Drew's life a living hell, if you remember that. And then he would bury his career 6 feet under. Y'all can be angry, the people in Scotland and all the other people who are Drew fans. But he had his reasons, and feelings be damned as far as I'm concerned. Remember what happened with Alexa Bliss, or someone who I missed. I wish she'd come back, but I hear a lot of things about her and the condition that she's in and everything. They say that she's still on maternity leave, but it's been a while. But then she had that cancer scare, and they say that she's okay with that too, but it's kind of like caused they say brittle bone disease, so she definitely can't take bumps, or she can't just come back right yet. Is that a word? Right yet? But not yet, so just gotta wait and see. And she's going to be the one that joins the Wyatt 6, we'll say. And the thing about it though is that he said it was easy. He didn't think it would be that easy to do what he did with Drew. And he was just giving Drew what he prayed for. He prayed, McIntyre did, for bad things to happen to Punk. And Punk, well, he preyed on him. That is Prey. And he made bad things happen to him. And talked about Drew taking his ball and going home after not being able to handle the pressure, and he quit. And then Paul Heyman comes out. Ladies and gentlemen, as he always does. And there is history between Punk and Paul Heyman. We know that he was a Paul Heyman guy back in the day. And he and Punk are good friends. Punk sat next to Heyman's kids at the Hall of Fame, and Punk even let Paul in the ring. You know, Paul Heyman asked, "May I?" And he did. And CM Punk says that Paul Heyman is the only person that can hijack his promo. And as they both face each other, they embrace, showing that they are still as close as ever. And in a voice sounding like he is under pressure, talking about Paul Heyman, he tells Punk that he needs to leave because despite security being present, of course, that's for the Wyatt Six and not the Samoans and Tongans who, on behalf of Solo, who, by the way, doesn't appreciate this town being called Punk's, wants to destroy him. Now, we find out, of course, through Paul Heyman talking that Punk, it will be cleared in a day. And Punk, he's not sweating the Solo, and the Tongans. Hey, that's how I described Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, and look at CM Punk. CM Punk is in on it too. And he's not sweating them as he is in Chicago. So I guess he figures that if they try to come out, the crowd's going to come in there and beat on them too. Kind of like what you see that one ECW segment where all these fucking people just pile into that thing. And that's, you know what I mean? Like, so it's going to be something like that. You don't know about that. And then Solo's music hits. Solo comes out and he gives the Second City Saint 2 options. He says, 1, pay your respects to the Bloodline, or 2, they're going to make sure he never is cleared to wrestle again. And Punk asks Paul, what's the favor you wanted to ask if I do you this favor? And Paul replied with very, very just determined, like just, reaching out for help. Like you could tell he definitely wants out of the situation. He's like, take me with you. And I felt for him. I wanted to take him with me and get him out of there. You know what I mean? But Punk, he says, I acknowledge. Now you think he's going to acknowledge, Solo Sikoa. And then he says, I acknowledge that he sees before him a bunch of fake-ass Usos and a phony cosplay tribal chief. I'm like, oh boy. And then he opened up a can of worms with that one. And as the Bloodline enter the ring to make Punk pay for it, Cody comes in and makes the Bloodline exit the ring. Well, it's easy to do that with bats in hands. I mean, I don't know when he did it, but apparently he handed CM Punk a bat himself because he was in possession of one. And all I kept thinking, of course, is that against the Bloodline, hey, you're going to need all the help you can get. Now, Cody takes a stick and tells Solo that he beat one head of the table, and it challenges Solo one-on-one. And that is without the Tongans or Solo. They stay backstage. And same thing with KO and Orton. They won't accompany Cody Rhodes. Now, that right there was a good segment. No matter what anybody says about Solo Sikoa, he's definitely stepping into his role. If you were not convinced, and if this doesn't convince you tonight or the night of SmackDown, I don't know what will, because you can see that he is really taking the role seriously. They're writing good for him, the creative team and all that stuff. He doesn't say much, but when he says something, it means something. It hits. Especially when he talks to Paul Heyman and you feel for the wise guy. You want to help him get out of that situation. Ain't going to happen anytime soon because, hey, he is the wise man for Solo Sokoa, who always tells him that he loves the wise man, but yet we see in previous Smackdowns he's threatening him, making these little idle threats, saying that if you don't book this 6-man tag team match like last week, the main event's going to be taking place in this locker room or in this dressing room. It's going to be me and you. I mean, is that tough love? Is that his way of tough love? I guess. Now, Jade and Bianca, they're backstage. They're all about getting their tag team belts back. But first, Bianca has a Money in the Bank qualifier against Mi Chin and Chelsea Green. And they're going to have a triple threat match for that. And in this match, which I might say was a very fun match, Bianca is on the outside and she goes to hit Chelsea, who ducks. This was outside. This was like during when everything went out of control. End up outside, right? Bianca's on the outside. She goes to hit Chelsea. She ducks and she strikes Mi Chin instead. And then she reacts, Bianca does, by putting her hands on her mouth and acting like she struck someone who's not in this match, like a referee or one of her people. Not going to say she hit Jade or something like that. But I'm like this: hello, Bianca. Why act that way? It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't Jade you hit. It was one of your opponents. I'm like this, like she does that. Remember in the past, like when she's watching two opponents and one of it's the people that she hates, and then like she's all into the match and going like this, and I'm going, why are you cheering either one of them? Why are you acting like you're a fangirl instead of someone who's observing the match? This is something that, like this, I'm like, what? And I also say, why is Mi Chin here? It's like, doesn't she have a women's North American Championship match? But I guess that is good because it shows WWE wants to push her somewhat. Good thing, I guess, you know. I like Mi Chin. I'm a fan. Big fan of hers. I wonder when her husband's gonna, Keith Lee is going to kind of, wake up and then decide that he's gonna let his contract expire in AEW and come over to WWE. Are they still married? Because sometimes I can't tell. I don't see a lot of stuff going on about them or being talked about them. But then again, they're probably private people and they don't really put their stuff out there too much. I'm pretty sure they do, but at the same time, I don't know. So I could easily be talking about two people that are already on their way to Divorceville or separated. I don't know. But then we see a KOD by Belair. You're thinking it's almost going to guarantee her to advance to Money in the Bank. But Chelsea Green, and I got to tell you, she was a rock star in this match. After she sees what Bianca did to Mi Chin, she tosses Bianca to the outside and takes the pin for herself. And I am all for it because it would have been too predictable for Bianca to win it. She has done it all. Well, she hasn't won Money in the Bank as I can recall, but I was thinking give it to someone else for once. Is Chelsea Green going to win? Probably not, but let her in this match. It's a star-making match. Even for the ones that don't win, they can shine in this type of match. And Chelsea Green, I'm telling you, where has this Chelsea Green been? Instead of being a comedy act and being the Karen and all that stuff and being a pain in the butt to Adam Pearce. Well, not Adam Pearce, but general managers. I mean, yeah, it was Adam Pearce in the past, and he is kind of somewhat of a thorn in Nick Aldis' side. But she showed what she can do. I know that she's a great wrestler. I've heard and I've seen moments here and spots here, but this right here, she showed a lot of like, this is what I can do. Give me the ball, give me the damn baton, pass it to me, and I will become world champion, and I'll show you what I can do. Very damn good in this match, I must say. And I've never been not a fan of hers. I've always admired her, what she can do, and her gimmick and her thing like that. I'm not annoyed with it. There are some people that are, but she actually owns it, and I like that. She owns it, and she pretty much is like, this is me, and I'm going to show you that I can entertain you, and at the same time put on a damn good match. And it's all you can want, and I want to see more of this. Put her in some highlighted matches. Put her in some some matches where it's like she is highlighted and you can see what she can do. Now, Bailey was watching the match from the backstage, watching on the small TV they have back there, and Blair Davenport confronts her and lets her know that after she beats her best friend, her BFF Naomi next week in their Money in the Bank qualifier, then she will look forward to cashing in and beating her for the WWE Women's Championship. But she forgets there's one more person in that match. Looking ahead of this person, when I make the mention of the qualifying matches later on, I'll let you know who that is. But Blair Davenport's good, but I think she's smarter than that. She's not going to just look past Naomi, even though right now her radar's on Naomi because what Naomi, they butt heads a little bit in the back. I believe Braxton was interviewing them. Speaking of Kayla Braxton, I saw this post that says that she's leaving WWE, which is a shame. At first, I was kind of like, kind of annoying at first. And she grew on me, and I actually love her. I actually adore her. I think she's great. She does her job well, and it doesn't hurt that she's easy on the eyes too. So and good luck to her, whatever she does, and God bless her, and got, all that stuff and all that good stuff, and whatever she chooses to do afterwards. I wish her nothing but the best. Now, we see backstage, we see in the Bloodline's dressing room, and Solo is hovering over a seated Paul Heyman. He's seething, is Solo, and tells Heyman that he needs to tell the Tongans to make sure that go tell the Tongans, and you make sure that those Tongans prevent Orton and KO and prevent them from advancing in the Money in the Bank, qualifiers. And he's like, me? Because, we know how it is with him. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the Tongans because they intimidate him, they scare him. Paul Heyman can't do nothing about it in the sense that he can't fight those guys. And he tells them to pretty much, he emphasizes that he better do it. And then when he comes back, he says they need to talk. And then when Heyman walks away, Solo is seen mouthing, "Wise man," and he's just like this, as if to say, "That's a wise man." He's kind of showing more and more that he is losing faith in this wise man, even though he tells him over and over at times that he loves him. And who knows? We'll see where that goes. And what does he have to say to Paul Heyman when he comes back from talking to the Tongans? And then we see at DIY, they confront a cocky and arrogant Grayson Waller backstage as he proclaims that he will win his Money in the Bank qualifier and do so on behalf of his friend Austin Theory, who is at home recuperating. But DIY don't buy his shit, and he only thinks about himself, says Johnny Gargano, and then Tommaso Ciampa tells him that you sacrifice Theory for your own welfare. Like, they continue to plant those seeds. They want, kind of get him off his guard. Maybe they're going to piss him off so that he finally goes, okay, I'll give you guys your title shot. Blah, 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 whatever, right? Because they want that. They've been fighting for that. They've been battling in matches over and over, and so far nothing. And as they're talking, we hear a loud pounding on the roll-up doors. And then as they open, we see a bloodied CM Punk on the floor with Drew hovering over him. Now McIntyre then lifts up Punk, and then he puts Punk over his shoulders in a fireman's carry position with a look of seriousness and outright anger. And who could blame him? I don't. I mean, he's in his hometown, of course. You got to root for CM Punk, but then look what CM Punk did to him, right, at Royal Rumble, injuring him, right? But then CM Punk has every right to retaliate himself, right? Did that at WrestleMania. It's going back and forth. It's like when it comes to gangs and they're fighting, drive-bys and all that stuff, and somebody takes out your guy, then you're going to take out that guy, and then they go this goal, and it keeps going and going. That's why that cycle still continues to this day, But that's another subject, but let's move on. And then as he reaches the stage, does Drew McIntyre, he drops Punk unceremoniously onto that stage. Then he kneels in front of him, making a CM Punk gesture, with this hand. He forms a circle on the ground, on the stage floor there. And then he takes the bracelet off of Punk's wrist. And then we see, along with SmackDown GM Nick Aldis and all these other officials, they're taking or trying to make sure that Punk doesn't do any further damage. And then Nick Aldis is pretty much reading him the riot act. I think I heard that you're going to get suspended next time or something about a suspension. But didn't Drew McIntyre quit, quote unquote, so why would he be suspended? I don't know. He's still there, though. I mean, he didn't come into the arena legally, in a sense that he didn't come in through the door like everybody else does. He knocked on the damn roll-up gate, and you see CM Punk. If they were told not to let him in, they're not going to listen. Look what he did to CM Punk. Maybe he put him there so that everybody can see. I did this to CM Punk. I'll easily do it to you. Even though he had every intention of doing that to CM Punk, that was his only focus. So, of course, no one's going to say no, right? Now, up next is the Money in the Bank qualifier triple threat. We see Tama Tonga walk to the ring, where Carmelo Hayes is already there. No fanfare, no introduction, no music. He's just there. And then we see the Viper Randy Orton. He's announced. He's going to take part in this match as well. And then at one point we see a vintage Orton times 2 as he does that to Tama Tonga and Carmelo Hayes. But then as he does that, Tonga Loa comes in. Orton knocks his ass off of the apron. And then, of course, in comes KO, who makes sure that Tonga Loa doesn't get up or doesn't interfere anymore. And then the Viper is distracted. And then Orton is rolled up from behind by Carmelo Hayes. And then he advances to the Money in the Bank. And that is the right choice. Because like I said, Randy Orton has done it all. He doesn't need the Money in the Bank or even compete in the Money in the Bank. He's already got one. He successfully, cashed in. So why would he need that? And I'm glad about this because Chelsea Green advanced earlier. Now, Carmelo Hayes. And that's like a breath of fresh air because it's new guys, it's new gals. It's not the same old, same old. Because if they don't need it, then why are they going to advance? Even though, yes, their presence in a Money in the Bank would make the Money in the Bank match more of a highlight, more of a must-see. But Randy Orton doesn't need that. He can continue his feud with the Bloodline. He can take on, at Money in the Bank, he can take on Solo. He can take on Tama Tonga or Tonga Loa. Maybe him and KO can do that. They can face them. I don't mind it because it's interesting. It keeps the storyline going. You could only make a heel faction strong by the people that they are in a feud with. And Randy Orton and KO. Even Cody Rhodes gets involved at times. So, you get those people, those high caliber former champions and current champions, and that's going to make your faction stronger. What's worse than you see a faction and they have all the promise and everything, but they're just dealing with, who gives a shit, jobbers and lower level bid card guys, and you don't care. At least this one you care. That's why what a lot of people think they're getting tired of the Bloodline. After tonight, I don't think you're going to be tired of the Bloodline. Now, SmackDown, they revisit what happened on Monday Night Raw. We all know what happened. All the cryptic QR codes and the video images and the messages. And then that's what led to the arrival of the Wyatt Six. The Wyatt Sick. What is it? The Six with the SIX? Or the SICKS? Are they going with Wyatt SICKS because there's not a sixth member? Where speculation abounds about who that sixth member could be if there is going to be six. Or it could probably be just a name. Maybe Bray Wyatt is still the first member. Yes, he's gone, but like posthumously, he's still a member of the group. They're not gonna fill in that spot because it's Bray's to have, and Bray's no longer with us, so he has that spot permanently. Maybe they talk. Uncle Howdy talks to Bray Wyatt from Beyond. Maybe that's what they're gonna say later on. Like he listens to him. He's gonna be looking like this, going, "Yes, Bray," or "Yes, Fiend." That could be. But of course, we saw the fact that the Wyatt Six laid waste to the Raw roster, which included managers and management and officials. We saw all the cryptic messages flash as they, show them. And it's funny because when it came to Chad Gable, they showed Chad Gable looking like he got a 9 mil to the fucking dome there, the side of his forehead, the side of his cranium. And then they show him, an image of him. And I'm like going, why is it that they only showed that? I was trying to look and see if they did it to the others. They didn't. I'm going, is there a reason for that? Are they going to target him? Because they're focusing so much on Chad Gable. I don't know what that means, but that was a pretty damn good way to sign off Monday Night Raw. A lot of haters, a lot of people that loved it, and a lot of people who are just torn. They're just in between, like they don't know what to think. I honestly dug it. I thought it was great. I was wondering if there was going to happen because it was the last, 10 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes or less, and then we saw them come in. And like I said, they have to, at least they acknowledged them tonight. They basically had security there. You see security by the ring announcers. We see, not ring announcers, ring announcers, but, commentators. And then backstage, when you see Kayla Braxton or whomever doing interviews, backstage interviews, you see security there. But if security took out all those people, they could easily take them out. Turn the lights out, boom. Maybe the old bludgeon brother from the past that sledgehammer that Ramblin' Rabbit helm, holds, Eric Rowan, knock your ass out with that, take you out. I mean, simple as that, easy as pie for those guys. But now, LA Knight heads to the ring, starts off, "Let me talk to you." And everybody in the audience goes, "Yeah." And he didn't waste any time. And he called out the goofy-haired Logan Paul and told him to bring out that U.S. Championship with you. Paul is a no-show. And then Knight, he's all about that title. And hell, he even went to Logan Paul's house. And he said no. But then he said, then he's here on Smackdown, and then he no-shows Smackdown. And he's involved in a triple threat match qualifier for the Money in the Bank next week with Santos Escobar and Logan Paul. I'm surprised that they put the U.S. champion in there, but he's good in these type of matches. That's what you could say about Logan Paul. A ladder match, if he makes it to the ladder match, if he makes it to Money in the Bank, he's definitely going to shine in that match. I'm not a fan, but I do admit that he is great in that ring. He's okay on the stick there, but still annoys me. The tone of his voice, the way he talks, but that's when you can see a guy who's a heel and it actually works. Not like how people try to explain away other people like Jericho, who's just straight annoying and boring now. And people want to go, that's what he's supposed to do because he's a heel. He's supposed to get under your skin. No, I like Logan Paul and how he gets under your skin as a heel. That's a good way to do it. Not annoying you to the point like you just want to, turn the TV. Turn off the TV or DVR it or fast forward it on DVR. You know what I mean? And as LA Knight's talking, I'm thinking to myself, did he just say that he's going to win Money in the Bank and cash in on Logan Paul? And I'm like going, no, LA. We don't want to revisit Austin Theory and that god-awful time of a car wreck that his Money in the Bank period of time was when he was holding on to that. I mean, we see, what's his name? Seth Rollins, the reigning U.S. champion, then he gets attacked by what do you call it, by the almighty Bobby Lashley, and then Austin Theory takes advantage of that. Then he tries to cash it in on the U.S. champion of all people. And then, of course, Bobby Lashley said, I ain't going to take that lion down. And he took out Theory and it cost him a cash-in. We don't want to see that. They're thinking about doing that. Just have these guys not win. Let Escobar advance. And then these guys can have a clear one-on-one match at SummerSlam for that title. I mean, they're building up to it. I believe there's another pay-per-view before that. I mean, I'm talking about Money in the Bank. I think SummerSlam is afterwards. I think could be another one. But keep letting it build up. They don't see each other for a couple of weeks, and then they bump into each other. Stuff like that. Just do it like that. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? But then we hear Santos Escobar's music come on, and Knight isn't having it. But Santos runs him down, and Chicago at the same time. And then he wants to take him seriously, but Knight, he can't. He's talked about how he's beaten him before. So he's not going to look at Santos. Santos is pretty much telling him, hey, you better pay attention to me. But he says, I'm not looking at you, because I'm looking past you. And then they brawl it out. And then in the end, LA Knight delivers the BFT to Escobar, takes him out. There's nothing else to go on. Logan Paul ain't there. Oh, but is he? You hear a crowd reaction. And I know that Logan Paul's there. And then Logan Paul pretty much, he takes out, he hits him from behind, hits Knight from behind, knocks him down. He picks him up, throws him into the corner post. And then with that medically enhanced, Wolverine type, whatever, he's got metal plates in his damn right hand. I mean, that's kind of a dumb analogy or a dumb comparison because you don't have those, what do you call it? Those metal, what's that, vibranium? I'm trying to remember what that is. I don't know. I mean, it's connected to the MCU, Vibranium, of course, comes from Black Panther. But he doesn't have that, but he has that metal plate. Pretty much you call him Bionic Man or something. And then he connects and knocks out LA Knight. So where's that going to head to? I mean, these guys are all involved in the triple threat match next week, the qualifier. So this just brings more heat to it. Then more eyes will be glued to it. I think that they're doing a good job. The people are going to want to watch the match because you see this. That's what you have to do. You don't just put together a match. AEW, sorry, I had something in my throat. You know how they do that. No story behind it, no build, just great match. Put them out there. Great match. Forget the story, forget the damn build. I'm not saying they do that on everything, folks. Don't jump on my back. But most of the time, that's what they do. That's what TK does. Now, KO, Andrade, and Grayson Waller compete for their chance to advance to Money in the Bank. Now, Waller, he gets an intro with music, albeit in the middle as SmackDown came back from break. But Andrade gets an already in the ring intro with no music. I guess that intro is fit for the WWE Speed Champion. Okay, whatever. And of course, KO gets the whole spiel, pomp and circumstance, and the crowd reaction and all that. But the Tongans attack, and the Viper comes to KO's aid with a steel chair. And KO, well, he's favoring that left leg, left knee, and he insists that he's able to go. And then Graves does mention that Andrade, and he mentions his Speed Championship. I'm like, okay, at least they, mentioned it. And they talk about how he's got the quickest pin, or he's the quickest person to win the speed champion, because they have, I think they just show it on X, and they're like 3-minute time limit matches, tournament bracket style, and he became champion. At least they, mentioned it. But here's the thing: the hardcore title and even the 24/7 title, people were wearing it. Why is it so secretive that they don't want to show the championship? This isn't another brand, another company that they have that championship on. Why are they showing it? I mean, even champions from TNA can come and have their championship with them. They're even mentioned as the champions. Not here. Yes, they mentioned the Speed Championship, but really? Like, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with showing the championship? It's not on a specific brand. They're showing it on 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 X. How about show it? Because then nobody's going to give a fuck. And Andrade doesn't need that type of shitty booking and bad creative. I mean, come on. Now, this is a great match. Really is, truly is. And we see Andrade perform a sunset flip powerbomb to Waller as he's standing on the apron facing the ring. Andrade goes over him, sunset flip, and he sunset flips and power bombs Waller, to the floor below. And then that's as SmackDown goes to break, and then we see the typical multi-man top turnbuckle spot as SmackDown comes back from break, and we see KO powerbomb Waller and Andrade, and he goes airborne, does KO to deliver the frog splash onto Andrade. But his left knee, it's starting to bother him because of the attack by the Tongans. And it keeps him from pinning Andrade immediately right after that. So it takes a bit. And then when he does go to the pin, it's a near fall. And then he does hit the stunner on Andrade. He goes for the pin, but then Waller breaks that up. And then as Waller from the outside sails through the ropes with the greatest of ease, he is met by Andrade on the inside, who delivers his finisher, planting Waller, and then he pins him and advances to the Money in the Bank. And I can't believe that Graves earlier called Andrade a long shot in the triple threat. I'm like, really, Graves? I was like, Andrade, a long shot. Yeah, I know he's been booked shitty lately, but he is also and always a threat, no matter what. Is this going to be the thing with Andrade? He left a shitty position that he had with AEW, who couldn't book him. They couldn't book him on doing a grocery store or grocery shopping segment. They wouldn't give him anything. That would have been something at least. They didn't give him nothing. And when you come back, he joined a faction, or you're about to join a faction, almost like when he came here. And then nothing. He was off TV for how long? And then they're doing that here. So at least they gave him this. That's good. Because he's going to be something else to behold, a wonder to behold, a vision when he's in that Money in the Bank ladder match. So glad for him, good for him, man. I'm a big fan of Andrade. He should get more shine in this company. And maybe they're building him up. Triple H does love him. He loves all his NXT black and white alumni. So, and he's one of those guys. So I know he's going to do something with him. It's just a matter of time. It's almost like with Karrion Kross and the Final Testament. They're finally starting to look like a dominant faction. So Triple H doesn't leave anybody in the lurch. He will push these guys. And that's great. Good thing that you have, the chief content officer behind you. You have Triple H still behind them. Now, Rhodes takes on the head of the table, Solo Sikoa. I mean, shouldn't he be labeled the interim head of the table? I mean, Solo did say that until Roman returns that he would be acting in his place. And if that's not the very definition of interim, then what is? Now, Cody and Solo are to battle with their soldiers at their side, without their soldiers at their side. The Tongans and the KO and Orton have to stay in the back, but will that hold? And then they had a thing. In the meantime, the new NBA champs are the Boston Celtics. They're shown celebrating, and a couple of them are sporting the World Heavyweight title and the WWE title, the replicas and all that. And I mean, I'm like, they crowned NBA champs already in the in the NBA. I'm like, ever since COVID and the lockdowns and the whole thing of us being not allowed to leave our homes and all that stuff and all that BS. It seems like we had abbreviated seasons for all these sports and stuff like that, and it seems like it's been out of whack. As soon as you turn around, the NBA season starting, they have a championship, and then a couple of months later or so, there it comes again. It used to be like 6 months between seasons. I think the only one that's a quick turnaround is hockey. I think they're only 3 months. And it's just weird. Like they already have NBA champions. Didn't they crown them just not that long ago? It's just something to just be like, really? Already? And then enough of that, because that has nothing to do with WWE except the fact that they got championship belts, replicas like they always do. Then also backstage we see Michin licking her wounds. I don't know why she's licking her wounds up until this point. Wasn't the match? Did the match take place like, I don't know, way back in the day? It is Tiffany Stratton. She comes in, and typical Tiffany Stratton, she rubs it in. It says to Michin that she will win her qualifier and go on to Money in the Bank. And then Michin hits her back. Not literally, but she hits back with, at least she's looking for Nia Jax and her help. Well, Tiffany goes to slap Michin, but she beats her to it before, the queen, Nia Jax, bulldozes Michin over and looks to Tiffany Stratton and nods. So, does this mean that they are in fact working together? Looks like it. And it's announced that Stratton, Jade Cargill, and Candice LeRae will compete next week in a women's Money in the Bank qualifier on SmackDown, as well as Naomi, Indy Hartwell, and Blair Davenport. So Indy and Candice have matches in the qualifier. Good to see. Who am I seeing? I would love to see Jade in that one, and the women's there, that first women's one, and the second one, Blair Davenport. Put the newbies in there. Let's see how they can shine. Indy Hartwell won her women's NXT championship in a ladder match, so she's shown what she can do. Naomi, I'm trying to remember if she was in one. I believe so. But let's see how. Tiffany Stratton would be great in a match like that. She flies all over the place. She's shown that she can do that. But I'm going with Jade, and I'm going with Blair Davenport. But the dark horse on the first one could be Tiffany Stratton, so we'll see. Now, CM Punk, it's made mention that he will be staying overnight at a local hospital for further observation. I thought I heard it was LA Knight, but they showed the backdrop to Kayla Braxton was the roll-up doors. So definitely it was CM Punk. Sometimes, like I say, I zone out. I try not to, but sometimes it happens. A lot of issues going on in my life, so But we'll see what happens next week. What's CM Punk's status going to be? He's supposed to be cleared, in one day. So maybe this is like a revelation, or what do you call it? A Nostradamus' prediction thing by Solo. They didn't have to. He didn't check option one, and look what happens. Even if they didn't have nothing to do with it, he may be back on the shelf. Who knows? Now on to the match, which is the main event. And why is Cody focused on posing and the whoa and all that? He should be laser focused, right? And not worrying about pleasing the fans and their sheep-like behavior to chant and sing and all that crap. Now we see a little promo for next week's Raw, and all it said was, "Witness what the WWE Universe is buzzing about." And I'm like, yeah, we're all buzzing about the Wyatt six, however you pronounce that. So yeah, tell us something we don't know. Now, we see Solo before he comes out. He talks you know, to the wise man. And he says that Solo was advised that Punk was hands off and to make sure that Cody was kept in check before before Roman, the tribal chief, comes back. But then we hear Solo. He goes, Roman? Is it really? Like, he's not coming back. Mentioned that said by Solo to Heyman while they were backstage, and after what he says, Paul Heyman he just utters, he's like, what could that mean? You know, and that's pretty much uttered by all of us, even the commentators as well. Now, to the point of the commentators, like, it would be a monumental moment for the Bloodline if Solo beats Cody tonight, because if he doesn't, especially after the Tongans kept Orton and KO from advancing in the Money in the Bank, and well, it was too good to be true as the Tongans come out, interfere in the match, and beat down Cody. And what I'm saying is that Solo Sikoa, he needed to win this match in order to prove he's a good leader, and that the Tongans will keep trusting in him, because if he didn't do anything or he didn't beat, Cody, then what kind of leader is that? But then again, you're not going to make Cody look weak by losing. You're not going to make Solo look weak. So what happens? It's a fuck finish. Or maybe it's not. Maybe Cody wins by disqualification because an attack by the Tongans. So they left it at that. I agree with that. Why not? And then Orton and KO come out. And I'm like thinking, when will a certain member of the Anoa'i family make their debut? And yes, it was spoiled for me. I saw a damn... I haven't watched Smackdown yet, and I see a damn thumbnail and it says, certain individual made his debut on Smackdown. And who that was? That was Jacob Fatu. He comes out. And even though it was spoiled, I still had goosebumps. Because he's a beast. He's laying waste to Orton by spearing him through the barricade. And then a Samoan drop to KO as he removes the top part of the steel steps. And he Samoan drops him into those steel steps. And then Cody was Uranage'd onto the apron and driven into the announce desk with a splash that makes the Uso splash look weak in comparison. And that there is how you do it, SmackDown. And as Corey said it, God help us all, there's a werewolf on the loose, and that is his nickname, his go-to name in the Indies. He's known as that, if I'm not mistaken, but I remember hearing that. And he definitely was. He pretty much laid into these guys like a werewolf would do at night, right? If you're in the forest and you don't know there's a werewolf there, good luck, because there's a werewolf on the loose and out for blood. And he pretty much took his share here. And I'm going to tell you, man, he is intense. He favors his father. He favors all these guys who came before them, like Rikishi and Haku, Umaga. I mean, his father is the Tongan Kid. He was the partner of Haku during their time as the Islanders. So you got their sons in the bloodline. Of course, Haku's sons are, Tamatonga and Tangaloa. And then they point to the sky, right? Does Solo and Fatu. Jacob Fatu. And then the Tongans eye each other. And slowly they join in, but slowly they lift their fingers. And I'm just thinking, is there like doubt in their mind? Like, what? We're not the favorite anymore. You got an actual blood relative. Someone who is of Anoa'i wrestling blood. Even though Tongaloa and Tama Tonga are family members. They are considered. They are pretty much like they're adopted into the family. But you know that Jacob Fatu is blood, real blood. So are they gonna feel jealous now? Is because that look of like, oh, what the hell? Okay, well, I guess so. I guess we just gotta join in. But we'll see what happens with that. If it causes any friction or, I don't know. I still think that Jacob Fatu could still be aligned with Roman Reigns. Maybe he's thrown in there with Solo Sikoa, thinking that he's a member of his bloodline, but maybe not. Maybe he's a rogue agent, if you will, right? He's a mole in the that bloodline. We'll see. Roman Reigns comes back. You think is going to attack him, right? Jacob Fatu, and then he aligns with Roman. He does a super kicks to the Tongans, right? And then goes to attack him solo, and then takes him down, maybe with a spike of his own, Samoan spike, who knows. But this was really a good episode of SmackDown. Raw was great. This is just as good. A great way to shake up SmackDown, because now they got their own terrors on their hands there in the Bloodline. I don't know how they match up with the damn, with the Uncle Howdy and his group, the YS6. Imagine that in the future, those two going at it. Could be, but that's probably way down the road. But anyway, like I said, I enjoyed SmackDown. I really, really thought it was well played, well written, creative, booking, all that was good. And I absolutely think that they're definitely building up to Money in the Bank really, really good, really well. And I'm looking forward to Money in the Bank and seeing what happens. And that one thing, before I leave, that one thing that you got to think about is he said, so Roman Reigns is not coming back. So what does that mean? Maybe Roman is ready to come back. And maybe it will happen. Maybe at SummerSlam, we'll see that. Maybe. Because I'm really wanting him to come back. Because I really want to see where it goes from there. And who's going to align with Roman. The Usos. Will Roman be able to take Paul Heyman from Solo and remove those watery eyes from him, because he's always near tears, he's always scared. Nobody wants that for the wise man. We all love Paul, right? But anyway, that's my video. So for those of you who stopped by and checked it out, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And until next time, take care, and I will see you in my next video.